unorganized to organized sector growth also is happening in the dairy sector at the same time.
But 40% is also very high.
Very high. In the last 50 years, I think thanks to large dairies like Amul, other dairy, India solved the problem of quantity. But can we say it is best in the world? Initially always thought एक छोटा डेयरी खोलेंगे 20 गाय 20 cows maybe 100 cows तक लेके जाएंगे शायद 1 लाख कमा लेंगे पेड़ के नीचे बैठेंगे life set है. I didn't come from a dairy background. I'm an outsider, so I looked at it from an outside perspective.
When were you closest to quitting?
I never thought about quitting. Even the most difficult of times, a lot of people gave me options to quit. I still, never thought of quitting. WHO says AMR is a big problem in the world and specifically also in India. No, I have a different test, much more advanced test.
Take that test, right?
Absolutely. See, milk is a complete food. I mean, it has everything that your body needs. Purpose and the vision behind it was pure. It was a promise. We named it Sid's Farm. Sid's Farm is a promise from me to my son Siddharth, saying we'll produce the best milk possible. We produce milk, then process it, and then also home deliver it. We have close to 600 to 700 delivery partners that deliver our milk every day in the morning.
What's been your most holy shit I made it moment?
First time I felt that the responsibility that I have for the organization, just that feeling that so many people call Sid's Farm home dawned on me. Right? I think that is one of the happy moments for me.
Crunchbase says that Sid's Farm is most unlikely to do an IPO. How true is that? Today we have Kishore Indukuri, the founder of Sid's Farm, a brand that's redefining what clean, unadulterated dairy means in India. You won't believe Kishore went from an IIT and US corporate life to running a dairy farm. Yes, indeed. In this podcast, you'll learn about the reality of raising funds versus bootstrapping, the truth about the Indian dairy industry, and how to survive the toughest moments in business and building a successful subscription-based business. Let's get started and level up. Welcome, Kishore. Welcome to Level Up. It is, I think, very exciting to have you here. We've been waiting now for the whole day and shooting back to back, but we all are excited to have you here, especially why? Because of the industry that you come from, that is dairy industry, and this is really a very difficult nut to crack. But at the same time, it is a business which is probably unsexy, non-sexy, and it does not give you easy rewards. But when it does, I'm sure it does in a very good manner that we just spoke about, right? So we are very excited to hear your story and to know more about this business, this industry, right? Let's begin. So I had read this somewhere about Sid's Farm that, after a few years of starting up, you really had a difficult time to take this from one level to the other level. So I want to know, right, what happened? Was there a moment that, you thought that, okay, now this is going to collapse?
Devans, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. It's great to speak to you here in the studio. Several instances, right, where I thought, ho gaya, khatam ho gaya. But we always persisted, right? Several difficulties, several different journeys. Initially, always thought, ek chota dairy kholenge, and 20 गाय 20 cows, maybe 100 cows तक लेके जाएंगे, and then शायद 1 लाख कमा लेंगे पेड़ के नीचे बैठेंगे life set है. That was my original thought, right? I didn't think too much about it. Lived in the US for some time, studied at IIT Kharagpur, then did my master's and PhD, went to the US, little bit of savings थे, तो I thought राजा हूँ मैं, बैंक में थोड़ा पैसा है, always wanted to come back to
डॉलर
India.
में
हाँ डॉलर में है फिर भी उतने नहीं. I mean, I didn't. I thought we will. I always wanted to try something on my own. A kick चाहिए थी. I was like looking for that kick all along, and wanted to try, do something in India always, and that's how I started. Initially, in agriculture is how I started. Then agriculture. As I was talking to people exploring this, dairy was something that opened up. Dairy, at least on the Excel, dairy felt like it was a great business, and I could try it, crack it. Visited a few farms. So started as a simple single source dairy farm, and then understanding the intricacies of it, right? Everybody knows that dairy is 24/7, 365 days in a year, but really feeling it, I had, I didn't have any idea about it. So our first year journey was wake up at 4 in the morning, 4 to 5 milking, 5 to 5:30, packing that milk, and then 5:30 to 6:30, deliver it at home to customers' homes. 4 became 3:30, 3, 2:30, 2, 1, 1:30. And understanding that phase, we were just doing raw milk then. By the 1.5 years I was into it, I realized that if we continue at this pace, both our people as well as our animals would die, right? That was when we needed to understand, first processing of milk. The first pivot into processing milk happened then. So it was several, understanding several things in the business, and getting to know it, getting to understand, pivot at multiple stages, and and
When
grow.
were you closest to quitting?
I never thought about quitting. I never, even the most difficult of times. A lot of people gave me options to quit, but I still, never thought of quitting. That is something that is, I would say, uh, not, it does not come to me naturally. I would not, even in the toughest of the times when there's absolutely no money in the bank account, also, I didn't think about quitting. I always wanted to uh, pursue this, figure out a way of doing it. We started something. The purpose and the vision behind it was pure. It was a promise. We named it Sid's Farm. Sid's Farm is a promise from me to my son Siddharth, saying we'll produce the best milk possible, and that is what we deliver to our promise. So that promise was very clear to me from the very beginning. So करके निकलेंगे, and that is how I started. But I didn't visualize the scale. I never understood what is the importance of scale, what is the scale at which we need to do things. I never understood business, right? My father was an engineer, grew up in a regular middle class family without any business background, so to say. Had to figure out all the aspects of business, right? So I think Sits Farm taught me that way so many things, right? I mean, I essentially have figured out business, the basic business principles, through this journey.
Hmm. Interesting. That's an interesting journey. I've always wondered dairy industry is worth billions in India, right? Yet it is so difficult to find clean, unadulterated milk in India for a normal consumer. Why is this problem so hard to solve?
See, I mean, 50 years ago, just to put, India didn't have enough milk, right? In the last 50 years, I think thanks to large dairies like Amul's, mother dairies, large cooperatives, and then also the large private players that came up, India solved the problem of quantity. India has enough milk now, right? But can we say it is best in the world? We are not there yet, right? We want to be part of it. We moved back from the US. We were looking for great milk. We wanted somebody to tell us, guarantee ke saath, a milk is absolutely great, right? US, we had a lot of options, right? You walk into Whole Foods in the US, you probably see 20 brands of organic milk or pure or natural milk or grass-fed milk, bunch of choices you have. Here, when we moved back and were looking for those options in 2013, we didn't find any. So I thought, the space will grow. Why not try it out? Though I didn't envision the scale, but the problem was clear to me. Can we be small part of trying to produce great quality milk? And that's the journey we thought we will do it. And it took a lot of learning to say what is the great quality milk, right? How do you assure customers that our milk is actually safe? How do we convince ourselves first that this milk is actually great, right? And it has been a journey of discovery. For example, we figured out testing is super important. Right? How do you assure that customers? How do I sleep at night thinking that I'm producing great quality milk? How do I assure a customer? Initially, I took all the calls of our customers for the first 4 years. Right? We were very small. Every call from 6 to 10 in the morning and 6 to 10 at night. सुबह के calls were दूध time पे नहीं आया. शाम के calls were about कल दूध नहीं चाहिए, कल चाहिए, or anything the customer experienced, they would talk to me. So there was this occasional question, Kishore, you're not there at the farm 24/7. how do you know that one of your people have not added water to milk? The questions were very simple, but I knew I had to convince myself, right? And testing that process, right? That SOP process to convince myself that the milk is good no matter what. No matter whether I'm at the farm or not, whether the particular person is not, how do I assure myself that the milk is in fact good? So that is how we felt like testing had to be super critical for our, and I didn't come from a dairy background. So I'm an outsider, so I looked at it from an outside perspective. That is how I figured that testing is super important, right? And what do we test for? Thickeners. जो भी मिल्क गाढ़ा बनने के लिए दूध में मिल सकता है, उसके लिए टेस्ट करना है. Are there any preservatives that? So that is how we figured out किस किस के लिए टेस्ट करना है, क्या टेस्ट करना है, and that is how we built depth into it slowly.
Okay, so you mean to say that testing is the way that this problem can be solved of getting clean, unadulterated milk? I mean, every brand that is there, testing has to be a superpower.
Absolutely, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because see, the basic testing machine around the world is an ultrasound machine, right? You might have seen this in your village. You have a small sensor, you dip it into milk. The sensor will tell you how thick or thin the milk is, but it's an ultrasound sensor.
Is it the test that you have got for us to do?
No,
Is
I
that
have
the
a different test, much more advanced test.
Okay. Can we take that test right now? Can we do
Absolutely,
something for the
absolutely.
test? Can we get that? I think it will be interesting for
Yeah.
to
So
see.
what I will be demonstrating
Huh.
is something to look for antibiotics in milk.
Okay.
See, I mean, why is antibiotic testing important? See, we fall sick, we might take a Dolo or a paracetamol. Fever does not go away. Doctor might prescribe you antibiotics. Same thing for a cow or a buffalo, right? We don't let them die. We have to treat them. Difference is we are 50 to adult humans are 50 to 100 kgs in weight. Your cows and buffaloes are 300 to 600 kgs in weight. Same class of antibiotics are prescribed both for humans as well as for your cows and buffaloes. But the bottle of injection के ऊपर लिखा रहता है, the withdrawal period is 5 to 7 days. What it means is, if you give this injection, you're not supposed to drink that milk for the next 5 to 7 days, right? But it is not as regulated, or this practice is not yet so prevalent, right? That milk is not separated because nobody wants to throw away that milk. So it gets mixed with regular milk. And that is a problem, because every day, if you drink a milk with a little bit of antibiotic in it, it becomes a problem. Yeah, unknowingly, you are consuming antibiotic. You develop something called AMR, antimicrobial drug resistance. When the antibiotic is really supposed to work for you, it won't work because the bacteria have gotten used to it. Okay? When are antibiotics really supposed to work for you? Suppose you have a surgery, right? Stitches lagte hain. That is a likely source of infection. You really want your antibiotic to work for you then, right? So that is why you don't want to get to AMR, right? WHO says AMR is a big problem in the world and specifically also in India. So we want to make sure that you don't develop this. So I'll demonstrate the simple.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. So the way this works is pretty simple. I'll take a strip. This is what we call a well. Yeah. So this is a small well. Isme I add a drop of milk. So I'm taking a little bit of milk, add a drop of milk to it. You just need a small. The principle behind this is simple. I've added some milk. Okay. I'll demonstrate how this strip works. See, this is a strip. This has bacteria on it. Milk is food for us. Milk is food for bacteria. I leave this strip inside milk. And if the milk is good, it does not have any antibiotic in it. You're supposed to see 3 more lines, right? So remember, there is a control line. Control line is telling that the strip itself is good, right? And that strip has bacteria on it. Now, if the milk is good, you expect to see 3 more lines. If 1 or more lines go missing, then what it says is the bacteria are not able to grow freely. Because there's an antibiotic present in milk, those bacteria are not able to grow. If the first line goes missing, you know that tetracycline class of antibiotics are given to a cow. If the middle line goes missing, beta lactams, your penicillins fall in the class. Penicillins injection diya hua hai. The last line goes missing, sulfonamides. This is when a cow or a buffalo has diarrhea. Sometimes that particular injection is given. So depending on which line goes missing, you know which particular antibiotic has been given to a cow. So it's an easy way to look for antibiotics that are given to a cow or a buffalo.
So what did we come to know from this strip?
Sure. Let's look at this. So it's, give me 1 second. I think this needs a little bit more milk. This needs about 45 seconds. So we'll give that. So we'll give it about 45 seconds to see the lines come up. Yeah. नीचे से एक एक लाइन दिखना चालू होगा.
जितने लाइन आए उसका मतलब है कुछ वो इंजेक्शन दिया है कि नहीं दिया है.
Lines आने से milk is good. If the line does not show up, then it means that because वो antibiotic दिया हुआ है.
So there is one line which has come, I think.
Yeah. So first line comes, then the second line, third line. All three lines have to come.
First line is in the center, but still.
Huh. So that
One.
means that maybe there is a fail.
I think the lowest line has still not come.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the center line only.
Okay.
I think you can still check it, but
Yeah. So we'll give another 15-20 seconds, and so this is basically like 45 seconds mein you get the result of it. Okay. I'll just tilt this towards my side.
yeah, and then you can show it to the camera also.
So what this is indicating is two lines are missing. So two lines are missing. So it's, yeah. So this is failing for a tetracycline antibiotic and a sulfonamide antibiotic. If the milk is good, you expect it to be like this. The milk does not have any antibiotic, you expect it to be like this.
But this is having just one line, that is having three lines.
3 lines hona chahiye.
So there is some problem or adulteration in this milk.
So there's some antibiotic in milk.
Antibiotic in the
Adulteration में multiple types hai. Is it a thickener? Is it a preservative? Is it antibiotic? Antibiotic is an injection, right? So that also you're not supposed to have.
It can harm the human body also.
So
because
AMR, antimicrobial drug resistance, right? You're unknowingly drinking milk with a little bit of antibiotic in it. आज एक दिन में कुछ नहीं होगा, but slowly you're drinking milk every day with a little bit of antibiotic, you develop this resistance, and which is not good for you, right? Because when you expect antibiotics to work for you when you use them. If they're not working, that means that bacteria will become resistant. Because रोज दूध में थोड़ा पी रहे हो या किसी और में आप एग में थोड़ा खा रहे हो या किसी और में एंटीबायोटिक थोड़ा ले रहे हो तो so that's why it's important. Testing is super
very
important.
Interesting test,
right?
This is.
So
can we take this?
Each trip is about 150 rupees, right? We spend close to 7 to 8 lakh rupees a month only on antibiotic testing. We take it super seriously, and that is how we build depth into it.
We can take it.
Yeah, please. No, thank you.
You can give this entire thing.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to fail, but it failed good.
Huh?
Yeah. So that's how prevalent
That
antibiotic
means it
failure
is. This milk is it's having a lot of antibiotics.
See, and milk has to pass every single day, right? See, if you have the ability to spend a little bit more money, you want every single day never to fail for antibiotics, right? So that is the endeavor, right? Why testing is important. एक भी दिन miss नहीं होना है. Every day it has to be perfect.
Okay, I think very interesting test. Do you think that most Indian food, beverages, dairy, non-dairy, these brands are less focused on quality, more on marketing, more on, their selling points, USPs, etc. But at the end of the day, the quality is being hampered.
See, quality is a journey, Devansh. So you have to, we have to start somewhere. And as I said, क्वांटिटी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया इंडिया में अभी धीरे धीरे से एक चीज करके वी गेट देयर एंड सॉल्व फॉर दैट प्रॉब्लम we are able to do this because our customers are supporting us, right? Because we get a slightly better price for our milk, we're able to incorporate and say, any antibiotic, any, for example, hormones like estriol, estradiol, these are growth hormones, they cannot be present in a milk, and we test for them. Even if a single test fails, our milk does not reach our customer, that milk is rejected, right? This is, if we're able to do it because we charge a premium, we're able to get that premium from our customers. We do this education every Saturday for the last 6+ years. We've done a farm visit. Every Saturday, we bring customers to the farm. The test that I've shown you, about 10 plus tests we actually demonstrate in the presence of the customer every single Saturday. In the farm. Right? And that is how we've been able to build confidence with our customers. We look for thickeners, right? Thickeners like sugar, salt, urea, सब के लिए test करते हैं, right? Demonstrate that our milk does not have it. Then we look for preservatives. See, milk is food for us, food for bacteria. And you leave milk outside, bacteria slowly starts to eat the milk, convert the lactose, which is sugar present in milk, into lactic acid. दूध खट्टा होके टूट जाता है. And the only good way of preserving milk is by chilling it. But chilling costs money. You need to invest in the chilling infrastructure. But the shortcuts are adding preservatives, right? So we test for it. We chill milk, but we test for it to make sure there are no preservatives. We look for hydrogen peroxide, caustic soda, baking soda, formalin, all of these tests we do. The simple color change test, 5 to 10 seconds. You just saw that antibiotic test took about 45 seconds, but the thickener preservative test takes just 10 seconds to do. Because milk mein speed of testing is super important. You cannot wait for milk. You cannot take a long time to test. That to दूध खराब हो जा रहा है. So jaldi karna hai. Tests, quickness of test is super important. But that is how you build that depth into quality of milk. It happens over a period of time. It is a journey, right?
Especially for someone who's from non-dairy or non-food and beverage background also.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. In your career right now of doing this SITS farm, what are the 3 worst sources of adulteration you've seen in milk?
See, I've just demonstrated an antibiotic test. It is a antibiotic residues are a problem, right? It needs to be fixed. And I think, government is also looking at it closely, but this needs to be addressed, quickly. And that's one. We've seen salt, for example, adulteration happen in milk. We've seen caustic soda sometimes being used in milk. दूध फट जा रहा है तो एक see acid bun.
That is called adulteration.
That is adulteration because you're adding something intentionally, right? See, हम लोग when we work with farmers, so you don't let an animal die. Right? You have to treat it. You have to give that antibiotic to treat it. तो फार्मर को बोलते हैं कि बोल के करो. When they tell us and do it, you just have to जो एनिमल को ट्रीटमेंट दिया है, just that 4 or 5 liters of milk you can separate out. If that milk gets mixed with another 100 liter of milk, the whole milk has to be discarded. तो बोल के करने से हम still full amount हम लोग पे करते हैं farmer को. So what this helps is it keeps the rejection to a minimal.
Quality is controlled, plus the farmer gets his money.
The rejection is also controlled.
Rejection is controlled, and farmer does not get disheartened. Ki, acha, if I do this, I'll still get my payment.
Yeah. And so this continuous education is important. So thickeners and preservatives are absolute no because they're done intentionally, right? We cannot have that in the system. If we find it, because we've been testing, ye aata nahi hai abhi. We don't see preservatives and thickeners in our system with our farmers that we do, because our farmers know that we do these quality checks. We pay them a better price because they are producing this quality milk for us. Next, what we do is
so one is the caustic soda or the baking soda that you said. That is one source of adulteration.
Yeah.
Any other source?
Adding, just see when we started our dairy farm, I'll tell you about a small example. When we started our dairy in 2013, this was, I didn't know enough about the dairy industry. Started producing milk. Cost of production, 1 liter ka doodh, then was 25 rupees for me. Took this to the bulk market, tried to sell it. 13 rupiya. 13 rupees was what I got. The first bills, 13 rupees, at the max 15 rupees. Other cost of production I was not getting. 99.5% of the farmers, right now the price points are a little better, but 95% of the farmers, when they get a lower price point, they think that, okay, TK, and this is what it is, this is, but there's a small percentage who might think, इतना कोई टेस्ट नहीं कर रहा है, कोई देख नहीं रहा है, let me add, should I add, again I'm saying, again, most of the 99.5 farmers don't do it, but this is the 0.5% who could say, मैं maybe sugar add करूंगा या salt add करूंगा, because salt 10 रुपया kg है, milk today is 40 rupees a kg, right? So this is what is adding a thickener, right? दूध को गाढ़ा बनाने वाला चीज, क्योंकि बेसिक टेस्टिंग मशीन इज एन अल्ट्रासाउंड. अल्ट्रासाउंड देख नहीं पाता है, वो सुन रहा है. अल्ट्रासाउंड वेव, द सेंसर detects it through sound, right? So it does not know whether it is a milk solid or is it salt, sugar, starch. It doesn't know. That is how, thickeners, right? Adulterants. This is what we call adulterants.
And what about water?
Water is easy to pick, right? I mean, you do that basic ultrasound, it'll tell you kitna water hai, right? So water
But that is
easy to
also
pick.
one source of adulteration, which
Yes.
is the most common, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is how we, first started looking for thickeners, then started looking for preservatives, started testing for it. Initially, we used to buy National Dairy Development Board kits, and we started testing more and more. Ek kit, ek din mein khatam ho jata tha. The kit was 4,000 rupees. Then we looked at FSSAI ka manuals. FSSAI manuals are very detailed. You can actually pretty much go to the website, it'll tell you how to test for any adulterant. So we started preparing these reagents ourselves and started testing for milk extensively.
Understood. Dairy business is super tough, right? Because it's operationally driven, manpower driven. You have to be on the field in the morning. Do you think in India there can still be another $5 to $7 billion companies in this industry?
Absolutely. I mean, the consumption of milk, the per capita consumption of milk is just growing. Protein consumption is growing, and milk is a great source of it, right? And I think it's growing at 12%. Milk as an industry is growing at 12% CAGR. India is just starting to consume, protein in a different form. So I think, I personally think there'll be a lot of growth of value-added products. I think न्यूट्रिशनली डेंस फूड अभी हम लोग लेना चालू किया, right? Maybe in the form of paneer, cheese, butter, more quantities. So abhi consumption increase hua hai. So I think it will continue to go up. So that way dairy is going to keep on growing. And another thing that is happening is milk industry is also getting organized. Only 40%, I think around 40% is what is still organized. Unorganized to organized sector growth also is happening in the dairy sector at the same time. So there's a lot of...
But 40% is also very high.
Very high, right? But there's a 60%
which is still unorganized. The small players, local players, etc.
just do that is sold in loose. It is not yet regulated. I think it's about 60% in India today.
Okay. All right. I think you had blood pressure. And was milk also the reason or to start, or it was a cure for you? How did that happen, and how did you take it as a challenge to make this business better? I mean, it was severe BP, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, milk is operationally intensive, right? And for a small player like us, I mean, because we produce milk, then process it, and then also home deliver it, right? On average, so super operation intensive. It is also three independent industries, right? Ek to production of milk, then then processing it, running that factory, and also home delivery. Home delivery is another piece, right? Making sure customer is getting your milk directly in their home.
Yeah. It's a very tricky business
and people intensive. A lot of people, we have close to 600 to 700 delivery partners that deliver our milk every day in the morning. Right now, we have a good team of people that are making this happen. So I think BP happened, as sort of managing some of these. But
So it was because of the milk.
I would say the business is what caused it to me, but I'm figuring out a way of managing it, making sure it is within limits. But yeah, so we need because it is a tough business, we need great purpose-driven people to lead the organization. That is what we're always on the lookout for. Great people who can take what we started. We want them to take it forward and
How do you hire purpose-driven people for your organization?
super question there, because we're always looking for those people, right? So we look for young people. Our median age in the company is 24, and we have few senior folks like me, in the 40s. But we look for people who have maybe done a business or done a startup, if but for some reason did not work.
Enterprising people.
Enterprising people who have taken responsibility, people who have demonstrated that. That is the first, right? Intent जिसमें है, उसको पहले देखते हैं. Everything else can be taught, right? And anyway, the D2C is a new industry, right? There's not a lot of experience already present. It is something that is just, the knowledge is just emerging. I mean, so it can be learned, but intent is super important. The intent is there, everything else happens. So always looking for that great set of people who have that, people who have demonstrated taking responsibility. These are the criteria that we look for.
Very interesting. I think this is something for every entrepreneur, every startup founder to learn, that intent is, I think, the most important thing that one must look.
Yeah, and it is also important in the growth phases of a company, right? Initially, एक 10-15 लोग हैं. I mean, you all work so closely together. Intent, the culture is all there, right? Because each of you mirror each other so closely. But once you become 100 people, once you become 500 people, then I'm not as accessible as I was, right? So culture thoda disperse hone lagta hai. So that is when you have to be most cautious, right? I think that 50 to 500 people journey of people, right? Making sure that culture, what you set out to do, and do every last person in the organization breathe that, the quality, having that paranoia about quality, that customer centricity, the empathy towards customers. All of these are so important. So we did recently, 6 months ago, we did a core values exercise, right? Organizational core values exercise, because super important for the culture of the company.
Good. I think that's pretty interesting. Uh, what are the three things anyone can consume in their meal other than milk that can keep them healthy?
So maybe I'll go back to milk because I'm fond of it.
Maybe some value add products
Yeah.
of milk.
Let's see, milk. Why milk, right? This is a question people ask. I was just having this conversation. See, milk is a complete food, right? I mean, it has everything that your body needs. There are few of these foods that have everything packed into it. That is how nature designed it. Just the baby just drinking milk, it can survive, right? So it has everything also in the right proportion that our body needs. So that way it is a great food, right? There are few foods like that. In the other foods, you have to choose, right? If you've eaten a certain vegetable, then you have to pair and make sure you get that balance. But there are few foods like milk that that have everything packed in it, in one food. You have all the, for example, you have fat, which is needed for development of our brain, which is absolutely essential. Then there are carbs, protein, all the vitamins, minerals, and all of that is packed in one food. That is the beauty of milk.
Most of the houses in in our locality, your locality, I think everywhere, वो दूध वाला आके दूध देके जाता है, right? And we've grown up having that kind of milk. Brands have just started coming out, like Sid's Farm in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Country Delight, or you take anyone else, right? Which are consumer subscription based businesses. What are the ingredients or the three important points that one must look in a packaged milk or in a company or something, which makes sure that this is of top notch quality, unadulterated, clean, which can be given to a small baby also and a senior citizen also?
See, ask the right questions. As a consumer, just call up the brand, whoever you're working with. Hey, what are your processes? How do you do this? Get to, talk to the customer support. Ask the questions. See, once you ask questions, every brand knows that this is what the
पर
customer.
ये किसके पास टाइम नहीं होता है. If we just have to see from their ingredients or whatever they put in the package,
Right.
what can we see?
You see you see some basic things in the milk, but if you want to get into the depth, I would urge, right, to look at a little deeper. India is just building, right? I think just asking these questions is building India, right? Because now you ask this question, brand says, hey, this is important for the customer, let me deliver on it.
But I'll tell you what is the problem here,
Yeah.
Kishore, is that, let's say, at my home, for example, my mother or my father will collect the milk
Yeah.
early in the morning when it comes at 6 o'clock,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they will pour it to me or, to anyone, or they are having tea, they'll pour it and they'll just have it. Now, that generation which is collecting the milk,
Yeah.
they don't really care about what is given. They're not going to pick up their phone, talk to that person because he's also a vendor. He's just delivering the milk.
Yeah.
So majority of India is still functioning on this model.
Yeah.
The consumers.
Right. So see, let me answer it a little differently. See, every Saturday I said I will do a farm visit. About 10% of the people who come are actually entrepreneurs or people who want to get into milk, including some people who are already doing this. We have had some interns who are actually selling milk as a dudwala. That is what we are also. We are also a dudwala. But they come and ask these questions. They want to learn what we do because if you're able to do it, if you're able to tell your customers, मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, आपका business बढ़ेगा. See, give customers even though they're not asking for it, as a vendor, as a producer of milk, you can tell your customer that मैं ये test करता हूँ, I'm guaranteeing you this, and look at
बट
how.
एज अ कस्टमर मैं क्या चीज देखूं दूध के पैकेट के अंदर जो मुझे लगे कि मुझे अश्योरिटी दे के ओके दिस इज क्लीन मिल्क.
Yeah. Uh, See,
कितना परसेंट कुछ फैट होना चाहिए या what should be the proportion, like give us some insights. If a normal viewer is watching this,
yeah.
how does he make sure that the milk is coming to his home is unadulterated, is clean, uh, to make them do a call would be little extra motivational for them,
Yeah.
which 99% wouldn't do. But if they have to just read a packet, what are the 3 points?
Uh, Unfortunately, just label won't give a lot of info. See, for most of the Indians, um,
But it could be a starting point.
it could be a statist. The first essence of quality of milk is दूध कितना गाढ़ा है. आप जब दूध पीते हो, the mouth feel, right? कितना मलाई है is the first instance of quality. That is what people associate quality because that is how we grew up, right? Because villages में, farm में हम लोग एक type of दूध पी के बड़े हुए हैं. तो that is the first essence of quality. कितना मलाई is essence. But मलाई के beyond, right? दूध में एंटीबायोटिक नहीं, उसके लिए थोड़ा और डेप्थ चाहिए. दैट इज द डेप्थ वी हैव टू बिल्ड. वो पता नहीं चलता है, बेसिक थिंग्स पता होता है. बट सी, if you are sensitive, you can pick a lot of things in milk just by taste and smell. Kids sometimes pick it up, right? But we assume that we are not sensitive, right? So that is why the depth is also super important. That is why we have to go beyond.
Thoda more science and depth is required. All right, got it. What's been your most holy shit I made it moment till now?
It'll take us some more years before I can say, holy shit, I made it. Because it is a journey, right? See, if you look at how dairy companies are built, they've been built over decades. And I think we have that journey. We have to grow. We have to grow it. We have to grow it steadily. And we have to do that. But one thing that where I didn't realize as I was building is when we realized how many people we support directly. Today, being a small organization, right? We operate in 2 cities, Hyderabad and Bangalore. We service about um, directly and indirectly about 50,000 customers. Just that we are able to support 1,000 plus people directly, right? About 600 delivery partners work with us. Another 500 people support us on our payrolls directly. I think first time I felt that, responsibility that I have for the organization, just that feeling that so many people call sits farm home dawned on me, right? I think that is one of the happy moments for me, that that is when अरे एक बिजनेस बिल्ड हो रहा है, छोटा सा एक होम बिल्ड हो रहा है,
लगता
जैसा
है कि
फीलिंग
कुछ किया है.
रहता है कि कुछ स्टार्ट
Some
हुआ है.
impact has been
Some has
generated.
started, yeah.
Hmm.
Started, I would say.
Started.
Yeah, because a lot of people ask it success, right? I think it's a very deceitful word, right? Success only happens later. Still, we
Hmm.
have a long journey to make.
Hmm. Interesting. Coming to your business model, I'm very intrigued by this business model because you've built on subscription, right? And subscription businesses in India are really very difficult to crack, whether it's B2B and you are in B2C, all the more difficult to crack, right? What's been that one thing that has stood out for you to crack this subscription model?
Um, Extremely focused on the customer experience, right? We made sure that we spoke to customers, understood what they were looking for, and tried to deliver on it. I never thought, right, हम लोग जो volume अभी कर पा रहे हैं, we would ever reach there, right? It was always that great feedback from the customer saying that, we like what we are doing. So they gave that word of mouth, and with word of mouth we started spreading, and that endorsement from the customer saying that they're liking what we are doing is something through which we started through which we started growing. So I don't know whether I answered your question fully, but I think that love from the customer is what has been super important in our journey. We try to understand the need, and serve that in our journey.
Okay, okay. Uh, Crunchbase says, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Crunchbase says that Sid's Farm is most unlikely to do an IPO. How true is that?
See, we've not been anything 5 years ago, right? So for us, I look at this, right? If we built a, a, a small business that our customers like, and any business needs to grow to be able to innovate, to survive. So for us, we have to keep growing, we have to keep expanding, we have to keep reaching out, we have to start getting better, we have to start being more efficient. So whatever it takes, we will, do that. We will keep growing to build this into a business that sticks for some time. Right, we've started something, we want this to stick, we want great milk to happen, right? We want to be a small part of the journey, so growth is needed to make it happen. So we'll grow whatever happens after that, whether it is IPO, whether whatever has to happen.
Is IPO on the is that one of your goal or one of your vision?
See, we've raised money last year, so we have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to our investors who believed, who betted on our growth, to be able to give them a great exit. So if IPO gives it, so it has to be done, right? So whatever it is that will give them the return, we have to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Returns have to be given. It, as you said, the right word. It's your responsibility to give them that return, to give them their money back, etc.
So, a year ago, 2 years ago, first time I was raising money, I had this question, right? Should I not? We needed money. This is a business that has to be built over a period of time, and capital is a moat,
Capital intensive, yes.
right? So we felt like, we had to raise cash, and, we owe it to our investors to make sure that we succeed, we survive, succeed, grow, and give them the returns.
Okay. You raised money after 6 years, right, of starting 6 to 7,
Yeah.
8 years, probably your first round, the angel round.
Yes.
Um, but we've always heard, entrepreneurs and investors say that you must start raising very quickly,
Right.
right? How true is that?
Dairy is not that business, right? I needed to know whether this business is something that can be built, right? So I needed to figure out. I took. So we were, by the way, we were profitable all those 6 years, right? That is how we built the business. First, we raised debt from Syndicate Bank, which was a public bank. That is how we first started building our processing facility. Deployed that money, grew slowly. Whatever money the business made, we put it back into the business. That is how we kept building it, right? So we were always, even though we were small, we were always profitable. When we figured that this is something that I can do, this is something that will continue to
Now
grow.
it can scale
Yeah,
profitably.
the conviction, I got the conviction that we can grow this further. That is when we raised money.
Hmm. So it's not necessary. Maybe some other sector or some other industry, you can grow, you can raise money faster.
Yeah. It's also the personality, right? I wanted to be sure, right? Because, that is the DNA that goes into we write on our packets that there are no antibiotics. So we make sure that there are no antibiotics, right? So when I'm taking money from an investor, I better, be responsible for their money. I better deliver them, what they, so this DNA is there. It probably started with me, but and we owe it to them. That is how we built when I had the conviction that I can do it, is when we,
What, according to you, is, the top two metrics of an Indian consumer psychology that a founder needs to understand in food and dairy business?
yeah. Um, so I think that that fit, right, the product to market fit, right, whether the customer is willing to pay for you. I'll tell you about our journey, right. There is no one formula to this, Devansh, right? I personally think there's not one formula for it. Our journey, mein, as I said, I didn't know anything about, business, right? I started with cow's milk. My first price point was 44 rupees. बाहर का milk 42 rupees में बिक रहा था. मैंने 44, 2 रुपया ज़्यादा में 6 months में पता चला कि लग गई. Right, went back to our customers, wrote to our customers एक letter लिख के कि ये price point work नहीं हो रहा है. Increase the price point from 44 to 55. And almost all of our customers, I say one or two customers left us, almost all the customers stuck with me. Right? So I think if you try to put it out honestly, I think the customers will always support you. So I didn't have a product market fit when I started, but slowly, we talk to customers. Now we understand what price point we need to be at to be able to, for this business to survive and grow. Right? We know what is the right price point for premium milk, with all the testing, with all the depth. What is the price point? But we learned it over a period of time. But the customers supported us in this journey. I think if you're honest, if you're building, when I say honest, if you're if you communicate openly with your customers, I think they almost, and they like the product. I think good milk is a necessity, right? People were
It's
looking
a
for it.
necessity.
It's a necessity, and people were looking for it. When we served that need, people were ready to support us.
Interesting. Did you ever think of going to your customers for an angel round of funding?
Almost all of our, angels that invested are our customers.
Ah,
Are
okay.
our customers, right? Except, one or two who are from other cities. Every one of them who are now customers as we are going to those other cities. But all all of our customers, all of our angel investors are
Investor
investors.
or our customers.
Yeah, our I would also say our, first angel investor is also our CTO now.
Oh,
His
okay.
Sunil Paturi. He was the first big check he invested in us. He was the first one to commit to investing us. He was a customer for almost 5+ years before he decided, when he exited one of his companies, he took that money, put a part of his money into our company. So that was first great
That was the best
validation,
validation
for
one
me,
can
that
get.
we are
Yeah.
doing something right. So a lot of love, that we received from people. Uh,
Interesting. All right, we'll come to the last segment of this, which is a game that I want to play with you, which is myth versus reality
okay,
on the milk industry, on the dairy industry, right?
okay.
First question is, raw milk is healthier than pasteurized milk. Myth or reality?
Uh, Agar that cow is in your house,
Hmm.
right? You know all about the hygiene. Then raw milk is super, right?
Okay.
But if the milk is, you don't know the source of it, you don't know where the milk is coming from. Pasteurized milk is just safe. It just adds a layer of safety,
Okay.
right? This because um, it could have gone through, the milk might have gone through several things. It it
So it's
adds
a
a layer of
myth.
safety.
So it's a myth. But with
Yeah,
these
with
conditions,
these
little bit.
conditions,
But
right? With
yeah,
these
if we
conditions.
don't get into technicality, then it's a
Yeah,
myth.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, raw milk can be equally safe, but
Little
pastures.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Second one is organic milk means no antibiotics. Myth or reality?
Yeah. See, organic. I know I'm giving long answers to small questions. Organic is organic deals, right? The way organic as a rule or this thing was first written for the West. U.S. Department of Agriculture first coined the word organic, right? Your land has to be certified organic, water has to be certified organic. Then these things. Even regular milk should be antibiotic free. By the way, it is written into law. Even today, FSSI has law saying that you cannot have antibiotics in milk. Even for regular milk, there is that law. It nothing to do with organic. Organic is to do with your land, your water, all of that. No pesticides. All of that is what organic is. See, when we started, we said, छोटे problem को first solve करते हैं. See, India land holdings are small. Right, US,
Land
Australia,
holdings
New
are
Zealand,
larger. Yeah.
land holdings are large, right?
Yeah,
1,000 acre,
here we
2,000 acre.
have marginal farmers
Two
with small,
farmers,
small.
2
Yeah,
acre, 3 acre. Udme organic achieve karna super difficult. We said, customer even looking for, the customer is looking for that safety, right? Milk mein kuch bhi nahi hai jo milk nahi hai. Can we even assure that? Let's not, get into large definitions. Let's assure customer that दूध के बिना और कुछ भी नहीं है दूध में. So that customer is willing to pay you more.
वो important.
The more important, and guarantee that every single day. Right? If you get testing done once and you say you are this, every day can you assure the customer? And that is the depth we felt like we should drive. Under promise but over deliver.
Okay. Third one is all lactose intolerant people must avoid dairy completely.
There are, lactose free varieties of milk, that you can have. So dairy completely no need. Yogurt goes perfectly well for people. Curd goes perfectly well for people.
I am one of them, so yeah, I have curd regularly. Fourth is skim milk is always healthier than full fat milk. Myth or reality?
Myth. I don't agree at all, right? I definitely prescribe whole milk. अगर आपको heavy लग रहा है, add a little bit of water yourself at your home and have it. Because whole milk is whole, right? That is how nature produced it, right?
Produced it.
And it has everything, right? आपको you can always tweak it the way it गरम करके थोड़ा मलाई निकाल लीजिए. You can do all those things, right? Like your body needs it. But I always root for whole milk.
Okay. Dairy causes acne.
Don't know, yaar. Sorry.
Okay. Last one is cows need to be pregnant all the time to produce milk.
Not needed. Right. So India as a country, we always had cows that we took care of, right? They were part of an integrated agriculture system, right? We don't have large 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 cow farms, right? Farming करते हैं 4-5 एकड़ 2-3 एकड़ उसके साथ 4-5 गाय रखते हैं. It is a nice, you can do a very, very integrated thing where you're still taking care of cows. Right? You don't have to think about concepts like industrialization, where the calves are always separated from their cows. We don't do it at those extremes in India. We don't do it at those extremes. India always practice this a little more consciously. I'm always a believer that a small farm, maybe 10 guy, 20 guy, 25, 30 guys. This is a great way to do farming beautifully while taking care of them.
Interesting. Okay, I think that brings to the close of this episode. Really nice understanding so much about this industry, dairy industry. I had probably 6-7 years back when I was into stock markets more. So I had studied this industry that time because we were covering this sector, dairy sector, in my company. And this Hatson Agro, Heritage, and others. So I had read a lot about them and kind of margins that they work at, 10-12% kind of EBITDA, if I'm not wrong. That's the standard for these large scale companies. So I was really very excited about this conversation, and I think it lived up to that mark. Got to understand the nuances and the technicality, of this business. So thanks a lot, Kishore, for coming on Level Up. I think the entire team had good fun shooting this, and I think nice learnings. And I hope, yeah,
Thank,
and the experiment, I think that will be very good. And I hope the viewers and audiences, they like this thing, they like this episode, and get to learn about this industry. So
thank
thank you,
you.
thanks a lot, Kishore.
Thank you, Devans. It was definitely also super nice to have this conversation.
Wonderful.
Thank you.